Now, this isn't something I would normally review, but call me a big girl, I saw Avatar on it and I thought I've got to review that. So into us from GearBest is the Avatar 718. This is an interesting product and it's not one I'd normally review on this channel, but basically it's a kind of weird drone helicopter crossover. It is actually a Avatar licensed product as well, and so it's based on one of the aircraft from that brilliant film. I'm not afraid to say I loved Avatar and I've been waiting for the sequel ever since. I don't think it'll ever appear, and so therefore for the time being I'll just have to fly this around the house to keep me happy. But yeah, this is a weird one. I saw it and I just thought it's not really what I'd normally review, but hopefully it'll give you a laugh and it might give me a laugh too. And this channel is about variety. Ultimately, I love anything that flies. Hopefully you guys do, but please do tell me if I am on the wrong track with what I'm reviewing. Ultimately, you are my audience and I want to keep you guys happy. So do comment below and tell me what you'd like to see more reviews of, be it quads, planes, wings, helicopters. I fly anything and everything, so I'm happy to try and get whatever products you guys want to see flying. And if there is a product specifically that you'd like my review of, comment below with a link to it and I will see what I can do. So finally we're there. Wow, that was heavily packaged. Now you don't get a lot in the box here. You get the transmitter, you get an instruction manual, some little spares, some spare prop blades, a USB charger and a small screwdriver, and then of course you get this bizarre looking aircraft. Now, hopefully looking at this you guys are as curious as I am about how this is going to fly. So let's take a closer look at this aircraft now. Now, I don't know if you remember in the old days when RC helicopters started becoming more accessible and easier to fly. It's when they introduced the contra-rotating blades. And basically, contra-rotating means that you've got two rotors up here, as you can see, one above the other, and they both rotate in opposite directions, which is a beautiful bit of engineering, very, very clever. Now this model is powered by brushed motors, not brushless, and they are there, and basically they're driving a little gear here which then rotates the prop. So brushed motors have a pretty good lifetime these days, and on a model like this, brushed is absolutely fine. You don't need brushless on a model. This small, it would be overkill, especially at this price. And it means that basically you don't need a rear tail rotor that rotates vertically as you normally would on a generic helicopter. So with two contra-rotating blades, basically that means that this is going to be very stable. The rear rotor on here, unlike a conventional helicopter, is not to stop the aircraft from yawing. Instead, this is your elevator control. So this thing's going to move forwards and backwards by that rotor on the back. That tiny little rear elevator motor is also brushed, and that is the cutest, tiniest little brush motor I think I've ever seen, actually. It is tiny. It is all plastic, this product. It's got a tiny little undercarriage underneath, which is not particularly strong. Also underneath, we've got a little switch for on and off, and next to that is a tiny little power port as well. In front of that is what I think is an IR receiver. Now, this is one of the key points with this craft. This is not a 2.4 gig radio controlled model. Instead, it's controlled via infrared. And that does mean that there is a bit of a dependency on keeping the transmitter pointed at the aircraft. It also means you're not going to get the range that you would expect from a normal 2.4 gig model. However, this is for fun. It's for indoor use. It's probably going to be great fun for your kids. And it's Avatar, so it's going to be great. Now I think there are some lights on this as well, so let's just turn it on by flicking that tiny little switch. Yeah, we've got a tiny little LED on the front, as you can see, and actually that's it. There are no other lights on this model. The best thing about this model is it comes in at only £23. That's about $27, I think. It's nothing considering that you get the transmitter, the model, there's an integral battery within here, you get a USB charger and spares as well. So if you're looking for a very cheap gift for somebody that loves radio controlled stuff, this could be a great choice. The only thing to note is that you don't get any prop guards, and despite the small size of these brushed motors powering these contra-rotating props, these are still going to hurt, so do be careful. So it's now waiting for the transmitter to be bound with it. Let's just have a very quick look at that transmitter. So the transmitter is very, very basic. You've got some nice proportional analog control sticks here. On the back, you've got your battery panel, and it takes 3 AAA batteries, which I've pre-installed in there. You don't get batteries with this, so you are going to have to supply those yourself. As mentioned, it is infrared, and therefore on the top you can see you've got 4 infrared emitters. Now it's good that it doesn't just have one, because it means these are all probably facing in slightly different directions, and that means it's easier to maintain contact with the aircraft. In addition, infrared is good at bouncing off walls and every other surface as well, so I think actually with 4 of them you're going to get pretty good reception. As mentioned, however, there is a limitation of it being infrared, which is range, so probably expect 10 to 15 meters with this. Also on the transmitter, besides the analog sticks, you've got 2 little rotary dials as well. They're for trimming the aircraft if it happens to drift left or right, forwards or backwards. And you've also got the A and B buttons. So basically that's your button for preparing to take off and also of course preparing to land. But we will see during the flight test which is next. So it is now flight test time for this crazy looking little product. Not sure how this is going to go, but first of all, I'm going to turn on the transmitter and we get our flashing red light waiting for it to be bound. So now we're going to turn on this by flicking that tiny little switch to on. And you see the light flashing on the front. So I think throttle to 0 and then back up to full and down again. Let's see if that's now bound. So the light on the transmitter stopped flashing. There we go. And the light on the front is now solid. So let's power this up. So I think you press basically top. Oh, okay, it's active immediately. Brilliant. So do remember that this is an IR powered transmitter, so we have to keep it pointed pretty much at the quad the whole time, which is a bit of a pain. The other thing to note is that this is not mode 2. So we don't have a rotor on the back. We've simply got pitch forward and backwards and rotate left and right, and then obviously throttle on the left. So this is going to be challenging for me, but I'll try my best. Also keeping focus on keeping this pointing at it. Just remember the cost of this is less than £25. It is just for fun, but here we go. So, and we're up. Now this is really bizarre, having to use... now what I'm doing first of all is trimming it out using these tiny little dials, and now I've got it trimmed pretty well. So the other dial here is for rotation or yaw. That is now trimmed perfectly. So it's got quite a bit of power. So you see when I elevator forwards or backwards or pitch forwards and backwards, the little rotor on the back powers up so I can make it come towards me. Can turn it around and then let's make it go towards us. Look at that thing. This truly is a multi-rotor. It looks really good in the air. And it's quite stable. I mean, I'm not giving any control inputs now other than throttle. Do note it hasn't got altitude hold. But anyway, let's try and fly it in a bit of a circle. Absolutely brilliant. If you love flying random things, well, this is definitely the aircraft for you. It looks brilliant. There's a certain tune that's coming into my head at the moment. I'll let you guess what it is. I'll play a snippet now. Unfortunately, I can't play any more than that because YouTube will tell me off. But let's see if I can navigate this out of the living room. This is going to be hard because remember, we don't have any roll on this. We've essentially only got yaw. So this is just a video update. I'm an idiot. I've just realised that actually left and right on this stick is roll. So it does have roll. So it's got all 4 axes. However, it's obviously not mode 2. And also the roll is very subtle. So let me just demonstrate that. If I rotate it around here. So if I roll it to the left, it's not massive amount of roll, but it does have it. So you can roll it left and right after all. So I've got to line it up and then go for it. Here we go. Ooh, yeah, we just about made it. Oh. Okay, now we failed. Now I think actually that was partly my fault because it is infrared and I think I forgot to point the transmitter at it very briefly. Let's try that again. So take off. Okay, here we go. We're going for the door. And we are through. Yay! Right, now let's try for the other doorway. Ooh. Ooh. I think we can call that a success. It really does look fun in the air. Let's try and fly it around the kitchen, see what the infrared range is like. This is really good for practicing your throttle control because I am constantly on and off the throttle here. It is proportionate throttle, luckily. Ooh, nearly hit myself in the face. But you have to really think about flying this because, as I say, you've only got yaw and nothing else. You haven't got roll at all. But it's pretty fun to fly. Getting pretty good flight time here as well. No drop in power yet. I suppose you could actually take the transmitter apart if you wanted to swap around the rudder so that it's on the mode 2 configuration on the left-hand stick. But that flies really well. I think what we'll do, we'll get really adventurous. Let's try and fly it outside. So I'm going to keep it hovering there whilst I open the door. Now this could go horribly wrong because this is not going to like wind. Let's see if we can fly it through the door. Yeah, we're out. Uh-oh. Okay, now it is windy and I'm trying my best to keep this thing. Whoa! I've crashed it a few times and it doesn't seem to have affected it in the slightest. So that's really good. And look at that hover. I'm giving it no inputs right now. Oh, that's why it crashed. But it is really indestructible. As you can see on these blades, they're literally, it's ABS plastic and they are so bendy. So it is definitely crash proof. In fact, let's crash it full speed into the door and see what happens. Okay, ready? Here we go. That is full speed, by the way. Yep. Okay, let's see if we can throw it and launch it. Here we go. Yay! Oh, it's cheap, it's fun. I tell you what, this makes me want to build a big one. That's probably a project for Andy RC, actually. I don't know if you've seen his latest build, but he's built a really cool tricopter. And that kind of reminds me of this a little bit. But I think his is going to be much quicker. It would be nice to have some more speed on the elevator. I guess what I could do is trim in some forward... Oops. Oh, whoops. Anyway, that's enough running around crashing and smashing this thing. In summary, it's cheap, it's cheerful, it is toy grade, it's great fun. It's infrared, so you've got limited range, but to be honest, you're not going to be flying this too far away from you. So, really good fun product. Take a look at the product via the link in the video description. Give us a comment below if you enjoyed this kind of random review, something that's not a quadcopter for once. Give the video a thumbs up, and if you're not already a subscriber, click subscribe. Thanks very much for watching.